What's going on, guys, and welcome back to WrestleRant, where every single week I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network as well as on the Global Wrestling Network. And ahead of Hell in a Cell this coming Sunday, today we're talking last year's installment of Hell in a Cell 2017. Overall, it wasn't a bad show. I thought it was a good show. It had some pretty, some fluff in the middle there, but the two Hell in a Cell matches delivered, and to me, that was really all that mattered. Real quick on the kickoff show, we had Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin knocking off the Hype Bros. Fine match. The opening match of the event ended up being the best bout of the entire night, which was really par for the course for the SmackDown pay-per-views in 2017. This one featuring the New Day defending the SmackDown Tag Team titles against the Usos once again, this time inside Hell in a Cell. Now, this feud was one of the best feuds, in my opinion, in all of 2017. Not only on SmackDown, but really in all of WWE. These two teams brought the best out of each other, really took tag team wrestling to new heights that had not been reached in WWE in many years, and we've had some great tag team feuds over the years, including The Shield versus the Rhodes Brothers from 2013, and a few other feuds from recent years, The Shield versus Team Hell No, and a few other feuds as well. But no two teams had the level of such a strong series of matches that the Usos and the New Day did throughout 2017, starting at Money in the Bank, that amazing match at Battleground, which I'll be talking about next week here on the show, actually. Another great match, an even better match at SummerSlam, and then this match. And they had a great match on SmackDown, too, in between. It was like a street fight, not Chicago, it was like a Baltimore street fight or something like that. And they raised the stakes even there as well when the New Day regained the gold. They lost the championships here, losing them back to the Usos. So, I mean, typically, traditionally, I'm not a fan of the game of hot potato being played with the belts. Like, back and forth we go. In this case, I liked it. I thought it kept the feud fresh, made the tag team championships relevant, got people talking about tag team wrestling again on SmackDown. The matches were fucking amazing. This was easily the best of the bunch, in my opinion, of all the matches that the Usos and New Day had in 2017. And it was inside Hell in a Cell. This was the one instance where I'm happy that we have the Hell in a Cell stipulation, maybe not necessarily in the month of October, but this feud had been going on since fucking June for like 4 or 5 months. Even really dating back to May when New Day initially resurfaced on SmackDown. So you can date this back to even May, or even their feud back in 2016 when they started feuding over the WWE Tag Team titles even then. So these two teams had a lot of history. It was only fitting to blow off the feud inside Hell in a Cell. So this was one instance where it was like, it made sense to do the match inside Hell in a Cell. Not like it's just, oh, it's October, time to bring back the Cell. Like in this case, it was justified. And therefore, it was an amazing match. Honestly, one of the best Hell in a Cell matches I've seen in the last 10 years. And that's not saying a lot. We've had a lot of forgettable ones. I realize that. But still, it was pretty fucking good. Pretty fucking good. So, awesome stuff here. The near falls were great. A lot of innovative spots, too, like tying up Jimmy in the side of the cell with the kendo sticks. I thought that was pretty cool. And a few other things as well. But yeah, the incorporation of weapons and everything else really made this match stand out. And I thought it was an amazing match to blow off a fantastic feud. Unfortunately, it was all downhill from there on this show, except for the main event. Not to say, like I said, that it was a bad show, but really just one of those, it's a pay-per-view. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just a pay-per-view. We had a Randy Orton and Rusev. Now, to their credit, they put forth the effort. I thought it was a good match, easily the best of the three that they had up to this point. I mean, you can't really count the fucking SummerSlam match, went all of 10 seconds. They had a rematch on SmackDown that I think Rusev won, that maybe lasted like 2 seconds. So this was their first real match, I believe, in WWE. Like, real match. And they worked well together. I thought it was a good match. Nothing great, but I thought it was good. And Orton won in predictable fashion. I thought the finish, was great. So Orton was going for, like, how he stomps his hand and, he takes his arms and just kind of, like, hits them down on the mat. So while he was doing that, Rusev took advantage, jumped on his back for the accolade, which I thought was a great spot. Orton slipped out of that, hit him with the RKO out of nowhere, which was great. Beyond the finish, this was really just an average outing and nothing more. It was a fine match, did nothing for Orton, did nothing for Rusev, but it wasn't terrible, so I will say that. The next match was a triple threat for the United States Championship, which was supposed to be one-on-one. It was supposed to be defending champion AJ Styles taking on the challenger Baron Corbin. But because Ty Dillinger beat Baron Corbin at least once or twice in the build-up to this pay-per-view, he was added to the match as well, thus making it a three-way. Probably making it a much better match on the whole. I know Baron and AJ had a one-on-one match on the subsequent SmackDown 2 days later, which was also pretty good. This wasn't an amazing triple threat, don't get me wrong. Corbin was on offense for most of it, really kind of making it dull for the most part, unfortunately. But I thought it was more interesting with Dillinger involved, kind of making it more unpredictable who's going to walk away the champion. Corbin did win the championship in the end. His first taste of gold in WWE's, other than, Money in the Bank and winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So I thought it was a good match. Not great. I thought it was fun for what it was. It was kind of dull at certain points for a three-way that's not good. But again, when Corbin wasn't in there, I thought when Corbin was kind of out of the picture temporarily, AJ and Dillinger really worked well together and had awesome chemistry. So a fun three-way with what I thought was the right result. I mean, the United States Championship really did nothing to boost Baron Corbin, but for what it was, I thought it was a well-wrestled match. For the SmackDown Women's Championship, we had Charlotte Flair taking on Italia. A match we've seen one too many times by this point. They went on to feud for another 2 more fucking months. And their Clash of Champions match, I could not give 2 shits about. I could barely care about this match. I mean, I like Charlotte. Natalia's good. But, I really just did not care. And what made it even worse was that the match never really even picked up. They were just having their match, went on for about 10 minutes, and then Italia gets herself intentionally disqualified, which was a terrible finish for a match that wasn't really that good to begin with. So a very weak match with a lame-ass finish. Yes, it protected Charlotte, kept the belt on Italia, kept the feud alive, but really they should have just put the belt on Charlotte here and moved on. They would not put the... I mean, then again, they had a great moment, I think in Charlotte, or wherever it was. She won the championship on SmackDown in North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken, like a month later, right before Survivor Series. So, it made for a great moment. Ric Flair was there. That was the whole crux of this feud where Charlotte was coming back from her dad being inside a hospital, and she was taking care of him. She was on a book tour, so she took time off. And then Italia came in and said, oh, it's not all about you, it's all about me. And again, been there, done that with these two. We saw it in NXT. We saw it on Raw. And now we're seeing it on SmackDown too. So it had been way overdone by this point. But again, for what it was a good match up until it was a fine match up until the dumb finish. Speaking of dumb, for the WWE Championship, Jinder Mahal taking on Shinsuke Nakamura in a rematch from SummerSlam. This sucked. I'm sorry. This match was fucking awful. And it's not just because Jinder was involved. I mean, that's obviously a factor. But Nakamura really did nothing to stand out here either. We gotta be fair here. I mean, an ace is an ace. This match sucked. Nakamura's performance was subpar. Mahal is just not exciting at all. The two never had any chemistry. Their SummerSlam match sucked. This was probably even worse. Because you knew the interference would happen in that match. You knew it was going to happen here, but you would think they would think better of it or do something different. Because by this point, we had seen interference in every fucking Jinder Mahal match on pay-per-view, including on SmackDown too. By this point, this was like the 5th or 6th pay-per-view in a row where the fucking Singh brothers got involved. And it's like by this point, you would think they would either ban them from ringside or do something. I don't know, but... And even in that case, we had the Punjabi Prison, which I'm talking about next week here on the show. Get ready for that rant of a review. They had the Punjabi Prison, a battleground, and they still got involved. So I'm not sure how much good a steel cage would do, because that's basically inviting interference at that point. But anyway, this was not good. They interfered again. Nakamura on the cusp of the championship, in the end falling short to one Colossus, looking like a loser here in defeat. Again, it would be one thing if he had a great performance, a great effort, an awesome match, a memorable match, but no. The match was terrible. Nakamura lost like a fucking loser, and Jinder was still the champion, albeit for another 3 or 4 weeks, but still, to keep the belt on Jinder any longer than they had to was a mistake. So I thought this was awful. Easily the worst thing in the entire show, definitely. Just because I had hope that they would be able to redeem themselves from SummerSlam. Well, they didn't, and the result was the wrong one, so this sucked. Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler. match was okay. Match was all right. The crowd didn't really give a shit, to be honest with you. I think this was their first one-on-one match. Ziggler was doing that terrible gimmick for weeks where he would come out, do other people's entrances, and run down the audience. Good God, it was awful. Bobby Roode finally comes out. They start feuding to give Bobby Roode a credible guy to work against upon his arrival on the main roster. And it really did nothing to benefit Bobby Roode at all. I mean, he won here, but then he was attacked immediately afterwards by Dolph Ziggler. So who the fuck could possibly care? They had a rematch on SmackDown right after this that was won by Dolph Ziggler. So again, I ask you, who benefited from this feud? Nobody. The match was okay. By this point in the show, people just really wanted to go home. And then the 50-50 booking did nobody any favors. So again, the Bobby Roode experiment already off to a slow start here. And even a year later, the guy is completely irrelevant, which sucks to say because I like Bobby Roode. But they have done nothing to heat up the guy whatsoever, and it can be traced back to this initial feud with Dolph Ziggler. Because as a babyface, the guy is not interesting at all, at least not right now. So anyway, getting to the main event here, the second Hell in the Cell match of the night. This one was Falls Count Anywhere between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. The video package for this match was long. It was long, but I loved it because it touched upon everything that went into this feud. Maybe not the interaction these two had on Raw like a year earlier. I did not expect them to bring that up, but they touched upon everything. Like Kevin Owens coming to SmackDown, why Shane looked over him, and looked over Owens in the original WWE draft in the summer of 2016. And now that he was on SmackDown, Kevin Owens felt that he was being disrespected by Shane. And then Shane got involved in Owens' feud with AJ Styles at SummerSlam, cost him the United States Championship that he felt that he deserved, that he earned, that it should have been his. So that led into Owens attacking Shane, then attacking Vince, which I thought was an awesome angle that was quickly fucking ruined because they did nothing to follow up on it at all. But I thought it was a great angle at the time, and it still is, but the follow-up was flat. Anyway, that led us to Hell in a Cell. And Shane is not, an active member of the roster. I was not getting my hopes up for a great Hell in a Cell match. I don't know if this was... It wasn't. I was going to say I don't know if this was better than the AJ Styles match from WrestleMania 33. It wasn't, but it was still pretty good. It was very slow at certain points. The match had no business being 39 minutes. And with Shane, you have to expect a slow match. But it was hard-hitting. It felt like a personal grudge feud. And they took their fight all around the cell. Inside the cell, on the side of the cell, on top of the cell. It was everywhere. So I like that aspect of it. Again, it kind of dragged at certain points. But overall, I thought it was a strong match. Owens, I think, got thrown off the side of the cell at one point through one commentary table. Shane sets him up on top of the other commentary table, ready to jump off, which you knew was going to happen. After Shane competed in that Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker a year prior at WrestleMania 32, you knew he would do the exact same spot. And this time he failed again. He once again missed. But not because Owens moved out of the way. Sami Zayn was there to move Kevin Owens out of the way. Now, of course, at the time I was not either A, paying attention, or B, not looking on the ground. I was solely looking at Shane ready to jump off. But upon rewatching it, which is why I rewatched these shows to review them, it's blatantly obvious that not only is someone on the ground ready to take Kevin Owens off the table, it's fucking Sami Zayn. It's very obvious that it's Sami Zayn. Now, the big reveal at the end I fell for originally when I watched it a year ago, just because, holy shit, I didn't see that. But I think a lot of people, if you were paying attention, if you were paying close attention, you could see that it was Sami Zayn. There's not many redheads on the roster that are guys. So that really narrows it down. He has history with Shane and Owens at this point because Shane was disrespecting Sami on an episode of SmackDown. So, again, it made sense for Sami to do what he did. They planted the seeds weeks earlier on SmackDown. I thought it was great. But again, it was very obvious. Like, the very least, I know they were kind of, Sami was distracted. He didn't want Kevin Owens to get fucking killed here. So he was too busy waiting for his cue. But you would think that he would either wear a mask, like an El Generico mask, like a little nod to his days on the independent scene in Ring of Honor, or at least like put his hoodie up. But he didn't. It was very obvious that he was sitting there the entire time. So anyway, Shane jumps off. Sami moves Kevin out of the way. The crowd acts shocked. They go nuts for it, not expecting Sami to save Kevin. I don't think anyone did. I think a lot of people thought that Sami might turn heel. I thought it was a dumb idea at the time. They made it work. Sammy's been a great heel. He's a better babyface. He's a natural babyface, but a lot like Becky Lynch, he made it work, and his promos were a lot better and have been a lot better, but he's currently hurt as I record this. Anyway, so Sami Zayn saved Kevin, put Kevin over Shane, and Kevin Owens wins. So, again, I thought it was a pretty good match, a very good, if not a great match. That and the other Hell in a Cell match, which was the best of the night, I thought were the two highlights of this show. Everything else in between was kind of sort of missable. Corbin, AJ, and Dillinger I thought was fun, but really the rest of the card can be skipped over. This show went like 3.5 hours because of that long-ass main event, which was not necessary. But still, I thought it was a good show. All things considered, it was a good show. Not the best SmackDown pay-per-view, definitely not the worst, because Battleground was far worse, and I'll get to that next week. But yeah, check out, if only for the first Hell in a Cell match between New Day and Usos, check out the main event too. But if only one match, then the opener. The other stuff, Orton and Rusev, was pretty paint by numbers, nothing special there. Corbin, AJ, and Dillinger, I thought would be better. It was fun, but kind of dull at certain points, which was disappointing for a three-way, but it was a good match. Charlotte and Italia really not got out of that second gear. It was just kind of in that second gear, whatever the fucking expression is. They never really got to that next level before the lame-ass finish. So skip over that. Mahal and Nakamura, like I said earlier, sucked. And Bobby Roode and Ziggler was okay. They had better matches on SmackDown after this. So again, I can't really recommend the pay-per-view, but check out Usos and Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. We really do not have many Hell in a Cell pay-per-views that I think are worth watching. It's kind of a curse with these shows. I was at the 2016 show. That show was kind of bad. Really was. That show sucked. Owens and Rollins was great. The rest of the show left a lot to be desired. Hell in a Cell 2015, I think, was pretty entertaining. Same thing with the 2014 show. 2013 sucked. 2012 was okay. 2011, 2010, 2009, I thought was okay. So there really has not been one truly great Hell in a Cell show, which was kind of sad for a pay-per-view that's had 10 installments now as of this Sunday. So hopefully this coming pay-per-view this weekend will be better than this, which I thought was good, but it could always be better. So thanks, guys, for checking out the review. I appreciate it. Be sure to find me on the Twitter machine, Facebook, everything else in the description box down below. Like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Next week, like I said, I'm talking Battleground 2017, so stay tuned for that ranting review next Monday or whatever day next week here on the channel. So until next time, guys, have a great rest of your week. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Enjoy Hell in a Cell on Sunday, and I'll catch your ass down the road.